The Body in the Library is a novel written by Agatha Christie in 1942. It is her third book to feature Miss Marple, so she's moved away from Poirot this time, and after the murder at the vicarage and the 13 Problems, Christie finally in the 40s decides to return to Marple, and we'll see more of her coming up in the next 2 decades. The title of the book, The Body in the Library, is a deliberate cliche and kind of a deliberate parody both of the mystery subgenre and Christie's own works. You'll remember from, I believe, Cards on the Table, Ariadne Oliver is working on her latest mystery, which she titles The Body in the Library. Certainly there's a sensationalistic quality about the title. We think of libraries being kind of these stuffy rooms of old English manor houses, and then the idea of a body in this type of stuffy room is kind of a bit of a shock. So there's that shock quality about it, and I'm guessing that there were probably a lot of kind of rather pulpy mystery novels of this era that shared kind of similar titles. In this case, it is a twist on that cliche, and Christie is taking a very unlikely body and placing it into the library of the Bantrys. The Bantrys, you'll remember from the 13 Problems, are friends of Miss Marple, and Colonel Bantry and Dolly Bantry live at Gossington Hall, this large house in St. Mary Mead, and one morning they're awakened and they are told by their maid that there is a body in the library. They go down, and there on the library floor is a platinum blonde girl with a spangly dress, and it just, the whole situation is, of this body in this room is just baffling to them. Dolly goes and gets Miss Marple to come and investigate. Dolly says it's because she wants to solve this mystery that's just right in her house. She wants to be in on it, and she wants to bring Jane in on it because she knows Jane's clever. However, there's also an undercurrent going on throughout the course of the novel. The village filled with gossips and such, and old-fashioned thinking people instantly assume that Colonel Bantry has been carrying on with this girl and has murdered her in his own library. And so socially the Bantrys start to suffer. Now, this novel is really interesting in that there's kind of a web of connectedness, of class connectedness and family relationship connectedness. It seems like almost all of these characters know each other or know about each other from other places. So we have the Bantrys in St. Mary Mead, and one of the prime suspects is a young man named Basil Blake, who also lives in St. Mary Mead, and whose mother was a good friend of Dolly Bantry's. At the hotel where the dead woman, who we find out was a girl named Ruby Keene, where she danced, at this hotel there was a family called the Jeffersons, and the Jeffersons know the Bantrys. And there's one of the other dance partners at the hotel, Raymond Starr, says that he belongs to this family of Starrs, whose last name was Starr, and they were a well-respected family that fell on hard times, and people know about them. So all of these people seem to be connected to each other, and it tends to create maybe a comfort level among the characters, but not for Miss Marple, who is constantly reminding people never to trust each other, and that she has this very cynical viewpoint that she just never believes anything people say. She wants to prove for herself the truth of a matter. Now, I should say that there are actually 2 murders in this novel. The first I mentioned, Ruby Keene. She's strangled. And then the second, we have Pamela Reeve, who is a girl guide. That's kind of the British equivalent, I guess, of the Girl Scouts of America. So she's a teenage girl She's also found strangled. And both bodies are found in very interesting places. Of course, we have the one body found in the library of Colonel Bantry's house, and the other body is found in a burnt-out car in a quarry. This body, her remains are charred, so we've got two very odd body disposals, I guess you could say, but both are killed in the same manner. Now, Miss Marple brings a couple of different qualities to the investigation that are perhaps a bit different from Poirot. First of all, being a woman, she understands things from a different gendered perspective than Poirot does, and of course different from the police who are working on this particular case, and that actually plays into this plot quite a bit. Some of the clues that would maybe be considered more gendered clues that we could say happen in this novel involve cut fingernails and chewed fingernails. The choice of an evening dress to wear to go out to meet a man. So it's things like these that our plotting police detectives don't pick up on, that Miss Marple picks up on instantly. In fact, she tells us maybe 3/4 of the way into the novel that she already knows who the murderer is, but she just doesn't have all the pieces put together. And of course, she's right. Two of the themes that run through the novel, one is class. We do see, I mentioned this is a parody of the mystery genre with its title, The Body in the Library. It's a bit of a parody of Christie's own works. And so there are very strong class distinctions that go on in this, and those are reinforced. And we're also seeing that in a changing time. The character of Basil Blake, and the young woman who is living with him, these are kind of free bohemian type characters. They're challenging these traditional class roles by living as an unmarried couple in this very traditional village of St. Mary Mead, of going to parties all night long. We have a little bit more frank talk about sex in this novel by younger characters, and Miss Marple is constantly talking about kind of older ways of doing things, and actually, for being the Victorian prude that people say she is, she's quite objective about changing times, and probably a little less shocked because she doesn't trust anyone. So she's never shocked by people's maybe sexual behavior or any sort of more modern, I guess, for lack of a better term, behavior that they display that kind of goes against or flies in the face of these Victorian morals. The other theme that occurs in this novel, it has to do with inheritance. In the Body in the Library is a financial inheritance, but inheritance is going to be something that, first of all, it becomes a strong motivator for malevolent action, for someone to kill another person. Usually, there's a great deal of money at stake in these novels, but I think that Christie also explores inheritance in a lot of other ways, in spiritual ways, in moral and ethical ways. Now, there's one last clever thing that Christie puts in this novel, and that is a name check. Mrs. Jefferson, the daughter-in-law of Mr. Jefferson, her son, Peter Carmody, is a big mystery fan, and he mentions the fact that he's got the autographs of several authors, and in that list he includes Dorothy Sayers and Agatha Christie, so she does a little nod to herself here. So there is, even within, even while the murders themselves can be kind of gruesome, there is a lightheartedness because it is somewhat of a parody of the mystery genre. The novel itself is a fantastic novel. I found one plot hole that I can't discuss here without spoiling it for anyone, so I won't talk about it here, but that's the one thing that kind of keeps it from being a 5 for me, and I would say I would give it a 4.75. It's a really strong Marple novel.